Why, Adam? Could you tell us, why did you take away reach, and why don't our followers see our posts anymore? Maybe it's because, you know, the algorithm's bull and the feed is pretty much useless by now?
And people, they say like, "Oh, you don't show enough of my friends' posts." It's because your friends don't post that much to feed. Basically, what people don't realize is they think of Instagram as a feed of square photos. And if you look at how people share, all of the growth has been in stories and in DMs over the last 5 years or so. To the degree there is growth in the feed, it's all in video, it's not in photos. If you look at how teens spend their time on Instagram, they spend more time in DMs than they do in stories, and they spend more time in stories than they do in feed. Yet people think of Instagram as a feed, and it's the third most important surface at best, maybe fourth now. You don't share personal moments in feed today the way you did 5 or 10 years ago. You share them in stories or in messages more so.
Okay, so the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, aka former Dunder Mifflin CEO David Wallace, jumped on a podcast to talk about the future of Instagram and all the problems that they have. And he actually had some very interesting things to say, especially if we read between the lines.
I just get dick pics.
Oh, nice.
First of all, being a banger of a statement that probably confuses some people. As you just heard right now, because I was not really there in case you're wondering, don't believe everything you see on the internet, but as you just heard, he basically said that the feed is not the most important thing for Instagram. It's only the third or fourth most important thing. And DM is actually where it's at. And you might be like right now, what? It actually sounds kind of crazy, but it's true if we think about it, especially if we look at it from a purely social standpoint, in my opinion. If you remember, I once made a video talking about Instagram's identity crisis and that they're not entirely sure whether they are a creative first platform or a social first platform. Meaning, you know, you go to Instagram mainly to connect with your friends, like MySpace or Facebook. They think they are a mix between the both. I'm not entirely sure. I just made a poll right here. Let me know. I wanna know, why do you go to Instagram? Social reasons or actually content reasons? And basically, the important thing that he said was, you don't share pictures like you once did on your feed to show your friends, for example, right? Just the random stuff to share with your friends, not on your feed. It all happens in the stories right now. And when you do find some other cool content from some actual creators, you don't repost it as your feed anymore. You share it with somebody in the DMs. And this is actually way bigger for creators than you might realize. Let me tell you in a second why, but let's first hear something pretty interesting that he's had to say about this.
Take out all the text. There are more photos and videos shared in DMs than there are shared in stories. And there's way more shared in stories than there is in feed. So just forget about the text for a second. Just the photos and videos, just the media, the rich media. It's a bigger deal and growing faster in DMs than anywhere else. But the thing is, we're not a messaging app. If I was gonna run late to today's podcast, the best way to let you know would probably be to text you on WhatsApp. It wouldn't be on Instagram. What Instagram DMs are great for is they provide you an excuse to start a conversation. We call them conversation starters a lot internally. Replying to someone's story is socially acceptable in a way that a cold text is not.
And between the lines, this actually tells so much about the current state of the Instagram algorithm and how it sort of differs from, I would say, TikTok and especially YouTube. And it goes basically what he said hand in hand with my own research and experience working with creators, you know, helping them build their strategy. A lot of the times people come to me and they ask me, stories, right? What to do? I have no idea about stories. Are they even important? What should I do? And going on, especially Instagram, I see these gurus touting out, well, stories are not important. Don't focus on stories because they won't grow your accounts. Forget about them. Well, my friends, on a meta level, they actually do a lot more than you think. I'll do a video about this whole thing one day. But simply speaking, as a creator, you create content, people click on your profile, they see you have a story there, and they click on it to see what's going on, to see the bigger, better picture. And yeah, that's usually what makes them follow you a lot easier if you have a story. So in a way, stories are actually really important to sort of hook people in, to make them follow you and, you know, sort of get them to know you on a personal level. So that's the one part, basically the top part of the funnel, to get people in to, you know, become aware of you and then follow you. And then the other important thing that he mentioned was stories as being a conversation starter. So if somebody from your audience, right, they already follow you, watch your stories, if they reply to your story, we have noticed, I have actually noticed a lot that your content will rank up for them in the feed a lot of the times, right? And this, again, if we take a look at this whole funnel, it's even one step below because somebody cares, somebody actually has a conversation with you. And then maybe reply back. In any case, your content will get ranked up in their feeds and in their story feed and also in the Reels feed for them if somebody replies to your story. So just that alone shows the real importance of being active in the stories. And from the other angle, obviously, if people share your content in the DMs, right, with somebody you don't know, it means you are a contributing factor to keeping people on the platform, right? Basically, the only thing Instagram really cares about and the thing that will get you more reach than anything else. One really interesting thing I've been seeing lately is some high-performing Reels almost have the same amount of shares as likes, which kind of just shows the direction that we're going here, right? And a little later down the line in this interview, in this podcast, Masiri even confirmed my suspicions about this whole sharing algorithm, right? If we read between the lines.
The thing that's really working about Instagram right now with Reels is the connection between the two. So you can see a bunch of amazing videos from people you know or don't know, but aren't necessarily your friends. And then you can share them with your friends in DMs. And that brings your friends back to the app, and then they discover something, and then they might share it with someone else.
So point being, focus on creating shareable content, right? Obviously there's a strategy behind that, being able to make people come back and sort of get other people to come back to the platform because of your content. I actually talk about it a lot in my self-paced course, the IG Black File 4.0, which will drop pretty soon. Or if you want the personalized experience, you want us, me and my team to directly help you in your unique situation, apply for the creator mentorship down below. We actually have multiple live sessions every week, a personal direct line to me, and actually a lot more. Apply down below, hop on a call with my community manager Florian, and completely transform your strategy. Now here's the interesting thing, believe it or not, and we've kind of talked about it, so yeah, you probably believe it, but Instagram's biggest problem right now as a business financially is Reels videos. Remember, they actually had to cut down the Reels bonus payouts just because it was ROI negative for them, and apparently they're struggling with money. And ever since then, they've been struggling with making videos actually profitable, which is kind of interesting to hear if you ask me, because TikTok only has videos, right? And almost none of the other things. Or YouTube, right? It's only videos. They don't even have messages. And this sort of puts Instagram in a very special situation, because Reels obviously also being their biggest growth factor, and Reels being what makes people come back. Because people are always like, well, just bring back photo reach and everything would be fixed. Well, after this interview, I'm pretty sure they totally would bring back photo reach if they could, because actually photos give them by far the best revenue and the best chances of getting ads in front of people. But they can't because the traffic's really not there anymore for photos. People prefer videos. Now, with all that being said, it does seem like they do have a grander vision for Reels though. That's totally different from TikTok's vision or even YouTube. And it's actually pretty smart if you ask me. But hear yourself.
I think people don't always realize is video, by its nature as a format, is actually really challenging for all the old social networks. It puts a lot of downward pressure on the ads business, because if you watch one video for 10 seconds, you would have before, scrolled through 4 posts and probably seen an ad. It's a challenge. Actually, video tends to be good for time spent and bad for everything else. Bad for revenue, bad for comments, bad for likes, bad for sends, etc. What works about Reels, because we have the inbox integrated into Instagram, is this sort of flywheel where you consume things, you send them to friends, then you start a conversation. Maybe they use Instagram more, they want to check out what's going on today. They discover something, they send it back to you or to another friend. Really exciting, because everything that we did in the video space before that I was involved in at Instagram and Facebook came at the cost of people's connections. And Reels is the opposite.
And it's something that's actually, for smart people, I've never thought about it that way. But yeah, the whole juxtaposition of the videos and the sharing and this one actually makes a lot of sense. And in my opinion, it's the reason why people have a much higher parasocial relationship with Instagram creators than they do have with TikTokers on average, obviously. It depends on your strategy, and you can and you should use TikTok in a way to build a parasocial relationship the same way, right? We talk about this extensively in my programs. But in my opinion, on average, this is also why one follower on Instagram is a lot more worth more than one follower on TikTok. Again, generally speaking. Now, obviously it's been out for a while now. threats. They talked a lot about threats. I'll actually spare you the details because the gist of everything they talked about is basically, well, we have no idea yet. We're just trying out stuff. Let's see. But the most important thing we actually care about, when will threats come to Europe? Because obviously they're missing out on a lot. And in my opinion, it's just a very stupid and rushed thing not to include Europe in the initial hype of threats. I know it has a lot to do with laws. Probably Europe is to blame. But then again, they always say it's because of laws that will come into effect of only next year, right? So they want to proactively. I don't know what that's about. There's got to be something behind the scenes going on, you know, something. And maybe it's really been a little bit too rushed for them. But basically, this is what he said.
When does Europe come?
It's months, many months minimum.
February.
I mean, I'd be excited about that, honestly, at this point. It just requires...
What's the reasoning, sorry?
It's laws coming out next year, making sure that we're proactively compliant with them.
So yeah, you heard it right. No threats for at least more than half a year for European people. In my opinion, very bad for threats as a whole. But yeah, actually, let's go back to Instagram because who cares about threats, to be honest. He also hinted at some changes simplifying things, simplifying the whole platform, because that's another major issue people always complain about on Instagram. It's getting too complicated. And I believe his name is Harry, did this whole interview with Maziri. Awesome. Here's what he said.
There's one portion of Instagram where you need like 8 clicks back to get back to main feed. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, Adam, like...
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
Is that deliberate?
No. The app is too complicated. I mean, let's be serious. I think it's gotten more simple over the last 12 months or so, but we still have more to do. So we actually have, like I was talking to our head of design 2 days ago about how do we carve out a certain percentage of the team's time to just unship things that aren't used that much or don't create that much value, and proactively look for opportunities to consolidate things to make them simpler and easier to use.
Talking about unshipping things, so meaning deactivating things. And that is something we've noticed recently in our Discord. By the way, I've never mentioned it here. We have a Discord, a heyDominik Discord. I'm there, right? I share some things I wouldn't share here. I'll give you some insights. Right now, it's actually not super big, so you'll probably get an answer from me if you have questions or anything. Link is somewhere down below. We do some research together. It's a cool place, but I still don't know what to actually do with it. But on there, we've actually noticed that they're playing around quite a bit with removing certain things off of Instagram. You know, for some users, right? Testing some stuff. Some people, for example, have had the Reels tab on their profile gone. Don't ask me why. It's just the test. Some actually had the story highlights button removed, which is also kind of crazy, but you know, it seems like they're desperate to try to just remove some things and see how they can make it a lot easier. And having been in the industry for a few years now, usually September to November is the time where Instagram starts to go crazy over certain changes. They usually have some sort of fall cleaning where lots of stuff go wrong, usually every year. So prepare for some craziness. Last year, we've had quite a bit of issues, so just be warned for that. And the absolute best way to prepare for this whole thing is to create awesome content with an awesome strategy. And you might want to take a look at this video here, because I'll be showing you super up-to-date content strategies other people would even charge for.